Hi everyone and welcome to this new video tutorial. I'm Aryan and today we are going to create this section completely responsive, and of course I'm using Bricks Builder and AutomaticCSS. That is not necessary, but I highly suggest it. Check the description for more information. So let's start right away. Get here, click on section, click on the container, and then click on the plus button here and add the heading, a rich text, and then I'm also going to add another container by clicking here. And by selecting this last container, click on it, we are going to change the display to grid. Here on grid template columns, you can basically use FR if you want, like 1 FR, 1 FR, and 1 FR. And as you can see, it divides in 3. But in my case, I'm going to use AutomaticCSS. So I'm basically going to remove this, right click on it, and use a grid of 3. And in this way, I get, my setting already with those presets of AutomaticCSS. Again, check the description of this video to know more about this really great plugin. Once done that, okay, we need to make sure the container is still selected, and then plus button and choose a block this time. Open this little arrow here and you will find a block, and I will call this block, you can name it like number, block number, okay, so that we will add inside of it the numbers. Plus button here, and check the counter. Here is it. Okay, as you can see now there is a counter inside of it. And then let me check again the design. We have this text here like developer. We can use a heading for that, like this. And yeah, so we made a structure. We need now to space it evenly and style it just a little bit. I'm not going to style it too much. I like to keep it like a wireframe so that you can play around later. So let's start by adding the content first. So let's copy this and just edit this here. Then I'm going to copy this text here and just paste it here. And here I'm just getting the number. For those elements we will see it later how to add it. So go on the number here, okay, make sure the counter is selected, and you can just type in count to 73, and then you can get the M and the plus. So we have the prefix, no prefix, suffix, we have the M, oops, and the plus, okay, and then we have a small text developer that we're going to add here, and I'm also going to change to an H5 or H4. You can actually set it up later. Okay, so let's now set everything better. First of all, here on the structure, let's find where we can edit the heading. So we have the heading here, and with the heading selected, I usually go on style, typography, and font size. You can add your font size here. I'm using AutomaticCSS, so I go with right click and just say XXL, and then I would go with align center. Okay, great. Now doing the same thing to the text below, so click on it and then go on font size, right click. You can change the sizing of this font. I think I will stick with an M, and then I can change also the color here. Okay, so change the color. I would go with AutomaticCSS, so right click and I get with a neutral color like this. Okay, and it's actually changing it. So with that done, center it again. But for this text, I also want it less width because it's taking too much horizontal space. So layout, width, right click, and I would choose my width here. You could go with M, I would go with L, and then that's all. Oops, I just clicked somewhere. Okay, great. So now with the container selected, okay, I'm going to just go on style, I'm sorry, not style, content, and center. And as you can see now, it's centering everything and looks great. Still, with the container selected, we are going to change the row gap. You can add your value here. I will use AutomaticCSS and just go with, you know, XS would be fine. And that's all. So now we are going to edit the block number, right? This is the block number with the counter and the heading. First, let's edit the counter. So I click on the counter. I'm going to change his style, typography, and of course here the font size will be XXL, and you can also change the font weight. So I can go with like 600 or even more, 800, to make it a little bit more similar. So this one is actually huge, so let me change it to something else like XL. Okay, perfect, looks good. I'm going to center this, perfect. And you can also style the developer heading here, and by doing that, by clicking on it and changing the color, for example, to something neutral. And yeah, I also set it to center, okay, so that it will center everything. Now get on the block number and make sure that you get on content and center this again. And now we have our elements centered perfectly, right? Great. So now what we need to do is actually duplicate this, okay? I highly suggest also to add a class so that, you know, when you change this, everything changes, but this is up to you. I'm going to really quick duplicate this, but you know what? I want to show you how BAM works and how to actually add a class very quickly. So this is an option from AutomaticCSS, and you can actually BAM this, and everything inside of it will get a class, right? So I will call this counter. I usually like to add like WP here. You can use counter block, okay, number, apply classes, and now if I get on counter, I get my classes named, right? It's not, you know, you're not forced to do that, but it's really a good practice if you want to change stuff. So now we can duplicate this. Great. We have duplicated it. And another thing we need to do here is actually resize the container. So click on the container, go on content, and sorry, not content, but style this time, layout, width, right click here, and you can now restyle change the width. So you can find the preferred width by using this, for example. Let's say I'm using L, and as you can see now, everything looks really good. So the last thing to do is actually add some spacing here. If you get to the design, there is quite a bit of spacing here. So let me add the spacing on the top, and to do that, it's very, very easy. You can basically, let me see how is the section made. So we have the container here, and then we have another container inside of it that we can actually scorporate if you want. Just remove it and put it to this level here. Let me try to. So let me close this. So the level is not correct. I want it to the same level of this one. So to do that, it's a little bit tricky. Let me see if I'm, okay, great. So now using the same level, okay, so we have the container with the title and the text, the container with the numbers. So to space them, select now the section and go on content and row gap, right click on row gap and just add, you know, some spacing here. You can go with L if you want, with M. I will go and stick with M, for example. Great. So was easy, right? Super easy. So get on the tablet version, works great. Mobile landscape works great. And mobile, this is a very large mobile, so it's showing in this way. But what I highly suggest is to actually make it on 2 columns maybe. And to do that is very easy. Select this container here, okay, and then on grid template you can basically say 2. And as you can see now, with 2 selected, we have our numbers on 2 columns. Of course, let's say you want to space them, because there is not much of spacing actually. So let's go back on the desktop version and make sure that these are spaced evenly. So here, okay, on the right, select the first number block, okay, and as we added our class here, we can activate it, and if we do any changes, it will change on all the others. And we can add some padding, okay, like this, XS or S, whatever. So if you click here, it's only adding on the top, so you need to make sure to click twice this one, like 1 and 2, and as you can see now it applies to all of them. And look at this, also the others are getting the same padding because of the class we are using, right? So great. Now that if I get on mobile now, look at this, we have the spacing, we spaced everything correctly, and that's great. Let's say I want a 4th number, okay, you need to edit the container here, go on content, and instead of grid 3, you need to basically use grid 4. With grid 4, then duplicate the last one, and now you have 4 elements. And if you get on the mobile version, look at this, you have 4 elements, okay? So play around with the design, style it however you want, and I hope that the tutorial was useful, guys. Like this video to help me grow the channel, and of course comment if you have any questions, subscribe to the channel, of course, to, you know, get more notification and more videos. Bye!